Alright guys, let's talk about what's coming, because the weather pattern across the US is about to shift in a big way. You can feel it, right? That slow, creeping cool down that's been working its way across the country is just the beginning. We're heading into a setup that's going to unleash some serious cold, and it's looking like the biggest blast of Arctic air we've seen so far this season. And it's coming fast. Right around the 9th or 10th of the month, we're expecting a full-on plunge of frigid air straight out of Canada. Now, I know November started off chilly for a lot of us, but this next shot of Arctic air looks to be the real deal. And what's crazy is that once that one passes, we might not even get a long break before another major cool down follows it. So yeah, buckle up. November's just getting started, and it's already coming in strong. But before we get into that deep cold, let's take a quick look at what's happening right now. Today, we've got a bit of everything scattered around the country. Some showers moving across the northern tier, a little snow up in the Cascades and the northern Rockies, and a batch of light rain through Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. Nothing too wild, but enough to keep things interesting. Down south, a weak low is stirring up showers across Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and into the Carolinas. You'll probably notice some coastal rain near the Carolinas too, spreading into the southeast and up towards the Ohio Valley later today. So yeah, it's an active day. But the real story begins when we look at what's coming. Once we dive into the model guidance, things start to get a lot more exciting. Over the past couple of days, Halloween into early November, the temperature setup has played out exactly as we expected. We've got that strong ridge of warmth building over the western US and Canada, what we call a positive PNA. And when that happens, 9 times out of 10, the result is cold air diving right into the central and eastern parts of the country. And sure enough, that's exactly what's unfolding. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. We're seeing some serious chill across much of the east and south. Temperatures running 10 to even 15 degrees below normal in places like Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Up north, it's not quite as extreme, but still well below average. It's that kind of setup that really tells us the pattern has flipped. Now as we move into the next few days, that energy just keeps rolling. Rain continues across the southeast and mid-Atlantic, with another system pushing through the Great Lakes and Northeast, bringing cooler air behind it, and maybe even a little bit of snow in the higher elevations as we head into early next week. Think places like the Adirondacks, the Green Mountains, northern Maine. Those could see their first meaningful snow of the season. Out west, the Pacific is gearing up for action too. Another system moves on shore midweek, bringing heavy mountain snow to the Sierra Nevada, the Cascades, and the northern Rockies, while the coastal regions deal with persistent rain. Honestly, the Northwest is just going to be locked into a parade of systems for several days. It's going to feel like one long storm. Then, late in the week, that western energy starts to feed east again. The setup looks classic. Warm air surging up the west coast while Arctic air spills south into the Midwest and east. Around November 9th and 10th, that cold front really tightens up, creating the perfect clash zone. Humid, unstable air to the south, and bitter Arctic air pressing in from the north. That's where we could see thunderstorms. Maybe even severe weather along the Gulf states, with cold rain and snow further north. And if you're wondering about snow, yeah, we're tracking that too. The models are hinting at a potentially major central US snow event later in the month, with the Rockies, Dakotas, and upper Midwest possibly getting buried under a foot or more if everything lines up. Now, it's still far out, but the signals are definitely there, and we'll be watching closely. Meanwhile, the East Coast could get its own shot of winter weather too, especially if that deep trough off the coast shifts just a bit west. A small change in that position could mean the difference between a cold, dry wind, or a full-on coastal snow event for places like the Catskills, the Adirondacks, and parts of New England. What's wild about this pattern is how locked in it looks. Cold shot after cold shot, wave after wave. The models are showing more cool air than warm air for the next couple of weeks. It's not just a brief dip, it's a full pattern shift. Now, if you've been following my recent updates, you know I mentioned a quiet stretch. That zonal flow that's been keeping things calm with milder temps across a good part of the country. That part of the forecast still checks out for the next few days. We've got some lingering storms this morning, especially down south. Texas, you got hit hard overnight with hail. And as that system pushes east, we'll see a few more storms roll through the Carolinas before sliding off into the Atlantic. But after that, things change in a hurry. Once this next trough digs in, we're talking about a pattern flip that's going to unleash the kind of cold that can really bite. Starting late next week, temperatures will tank, freezing air spilling down from the northern plains through the Midwest and into the Southeast. I'm seeing signals of 10 to 15 degrees below average for huge sections of the country. Some spots might even plunge 20 degrees below normal. And for my snow lovers, this is the setup you've been waiting for. The atmosphere is priming itself for snow to make a comeback. It's still early to lock in exact totals, but some of the models are hinting at a major snow event developing, especially across parts of New England and maybe the Rockies. Higher elevations could easily see significant accumulations once this cold air digs in. It's all going to come down to timing, how the cold and the moisture line up. But one thing's for sure, winter is knocking, and it's coming in loud. Let's break down the timeline here. Through midweek, it's all about that zonal flow. Relatively calm, no big storm systems forming. We'll see some activity out west, storms moving into Northern California and the Pacific Northwest around Wednesday, then another round Thursday into Friday for Oregon and Washington. After that, everything shifts. Around November 8th through the 15th, we start to see this deep cold anomaly showing up on the models. The European, the GFS, even the Canadian, they're all in agreement. This isn't just a quick cold front. This is an Arctic blast. At first, it targets the central US and pushes east. Then as we head into mid to late November, the pattern flips again. That cold air repositions toward the western US. That's how you know the pattern is alive and moving. It's breathing back and forth across the country. The North Atlantic Oscillation, or NAO, plays a huge role here. We're trending negative. That means a blocking pattern is setting up over the North Atlantic, allowing this cold, dense air to dive south. When that shifts back neutral to positive later on, the cold retreats westward, so it's all about timing which side of the country gets hit hardest. Now, let's talk numbers. When I look at a temperature anomalies, I'm seeing that by next Saturday, we could be running 10 to 20 degrees below average, from the Dakotas all the way down to Texas and across into the southeast. The Great Lakes and Northeast, you're likely staying cool through all of this, maybe even stuck in the 40s for highs in some places. And when we move into early the following week, that's when it peaks. That's when the cold is at its most intense. From Texas to northern Florida, even into the Appalachians, temperatures will feel brutally cold for November standards. By mid-month, this entire pattern begins to migrate west, setting up a stormy, snowy regime for the Pacific side of the US. That's where we could start seeing significant snowfall stacking up in the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, maybe even into the Cascades. We're talking about a few feet of snow possible in those higher elevations. Now, the question everyone's asking, are we getting a major snowstorm out of this? It's possible. The latest GFS runs are teasing the idea of a big system forming in that trough around the 9th to 11th, with heavier snow across parts of the interior Northeast and New England. But I'll be honest, snowfall forecasting this far out is tricky. It all depends on how that moisture feeds into the cold air. Still, there's enough consistency showing up that I'm keeping a close eye on it. And let's not forget the wind chills. These are going to be harsh. Once that Arctic air floods in, even places as far south as northern Georgia and Alabama could wake up to freezing or near freezing mornings. Across the Central Plains and Upper Midwest, wind chills in the single digits will make it feel like January. Canada, of course, gets the worst of it. Deep negatives, dangerous wind chills, brutal stuff. All right, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, leave your region or city in the comments. I'll answer them individually as I have time. Commenting is completely free. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.